I don't care how insane this looks. If I have the physical copy, but I also have it on my Kindle, I will be reading it on my Kindle, okay? But there's been no kissing, no hand holding. Like, when are we gonna get the romance, Allie Hazelwood? Like, that is the question. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is super fun, which is reading new releases. There are so many new books that have come out that are on my radar, that are anticipated reads. So I have decided to dedicate an entire video to only reading new releases. So I'm actually coming to you from the future. I start off this vlog by reading Soulsearching by Lila Sage. So let's get into it. I wanted to quickly update you guys on Soulsearching by Lila Sage. I started this book on my way to work during my commute. I listened to the first 3 chapters on audio, and honestly, I really liked the audiobook. I love in dual POV books when the audio has a male and female narrator, and something that I really liked about this audiobook in particular so far is when there's a conversation happening, it doesn't matter like whose POV we are in, the female parts will be spoken by a female narrator and all of the male parts will be spoken by a male narrator. And for me, as someone who gets kind of like lost in the sauce in an audiobook sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie, I do be half listening sometimes, but it really helps me decipher what is going on, what is a real conversation, what's inner dialogue. You guys fell, but no harm has been done. But it just like really helps me know for sure who's speaking and who's not. I don't think I've listened to any audiobooks recently that have both parts spoken by the 2 narrators, like a conversation. So I don't know, it's really nice. It's really nice to have. I'm kind of getting like princess treatment here at the audiobook. But obviously I'm home now, I'm cozy in bed, so I just wanted to pop on my book on my Kindle. I am such a Kindle girly recently. I fear if it is not on my Kindle, I will not read it. Like, I don't know the science behind that, but like I'm just in my ebook era. And did I also buy the physical copy of this book? Of course I did, because it is like a little trophy that sits on my bookshelf the minute I finish this book. Also, the cover of Soulsearching is just like absolutely gorgeous. If there's one thing about Lila Sage, it's that she knows how to make a book cover. I read Done and Dusted by her, which I feel like is one of the books that she's most well known for. Like, that's kind of like what gave her props. I read that when it first came out, and that cover is like absolutely gorgeous. So Soulsearching is actually the November book pick for my romance book club. If you do not know, I host a romance book club here in the greater Boston area in Acton, Massachusetts. It is super fun. We're on our 4th month of doing it, I think. At least Soulsearching will be our 4th pick. It'll be our November book pick, and it is just amazing. If you are interested in joining, if you're in the area and want to start coming to meetings, all you have to do is email the bookstore and express your interest, and you'll be added to the email list. And yeah, it is so great. It's so chill. I feel like we're finally like getting into the groove of talking and being comfortable with sharing our opinions freely and all that. So it is amazing. Loved it. We had our meeting for October yesterday, and yeah, it was so fun. We talked about People Watching by Hannah Bowman Young, which I did read in another reading vlog. So yeah, but back to Soulsearching, because I just keep getting on tangents. Soulsearching is a paranormal romance. Essentially, our main female character, Collins, can see ghosts. And she's kind of I don't want to say drifter, but she kind of is. Like, she did photography for a little bit, and once that did not suit her and opportunities started to kind of like dry up, she has now found herself going back home to her small town, Sweetwater Peaks, living with Brady, who is our main male character, who is a friend of her twin sister. She ends up kind of in a forced proximity situation living with Brady because she doesn't feel comfortable enough to live at home. She kind of feels like a disappointment, a lot of like insecurity there with her and her parents, and like comparing her to her twin sister and all of that. And for the longest time, she hasn't been able to see ghosts. And so now she's back in her hometown and they're like appearing like crazy. Brady, our main male character, is in Sweetwater Peaks because he is wanting like kind of a fresh start. I think in the synopsis, I remember reading that he's like dealing with a really big heartbreak. So he's kind of like grieving that, the loss of that relationship. And he's just there for a fresh start to kind of restart over. He used to be a software engineer, but now he's an upholsterer. And yeah, I'm really liking it so far. I'm about 15% in. I feel like I'm low-key flying through it because how did I start it literally this morning? Worked an entire day and have a pretty good chunk of the book through. Like, not a pretty good chunk. Like, I'm not gonna give myself too much of a props there, but like 15%? That's like really good. Especially for me right now because I feel like I've really been dragging my feet when it comes to like reading. But yeah, I fear it's like past 8 o'clock. I think it's like 9 something. And I don't do well at night. Like, I am not a night owl. I'm kind of a morning person, but like not too much of a morning person. I just feel like I'm rambling. So I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna go back to reading, and yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. So it is update time. It is actually a few days later than the last time we have seen each other. I'm about 30% through Soulsearching right now, and I do like the book, do not get me wrong. However, I am a little bit concerned about the fact that I don't think the two main characters have any chemistry yet. I think there's some physical attraction there. I think Brady definitely talks about it a lot in like the first few chapters. He kind of talks about how her and Clark, her twin sister, are very different to one another, like appearance-wise, and how he thinks that she's very physically attractive, things like that. But when they're together, I like don't see any sparks flying. The chemistry isn't really like coming off the pages for me, unfortunately, which kind of is upsetting. I don't know. But he's also kind of shy and she's going through her own thing. So maybe it's just like a situation of like slow burn. We're like building up to that. like not every character is gonna give Charlie from One Golden Summer or even Milo from People Watching, just people that are very extroverted and very flirty. I don't know, I just eat that up, but I can have an appreciation for kind of a grumpy, shy MMC, okay? Do not get me wrong. So I just think that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about, is the lack of chemistry, the lack of like attraction to one another. But yeah, still holding out hope. I'm still remaining like optimistic, obviously, but yeah. So it is the next day, and I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't read that much yesterday, just maybe like 1 or 2 chapters. So we're still pretty much like 30% through Soulsearching by Lila Sage, and I'm gonna quit talking right now because I want to get back into the book. I want to get some reading done today, okay? I don't care how insane this looks. If I have the physical copy but I also have it on my Kindle, I will be reading it on my Kindle, okay? I actually love Brady. He's just so nerdy and shy, and he doesn't even know if Collins is flirting with him, and I just love him. He's so endearing. Okay, are we getting crumbs of what could be the next Sweetwater Peaks book? Because we just met, I think you say his name like Leaf, like Keith with an L, but there's definitely something going on between him and Clark. So it is a new day, and I finished reading Soulsearching by Lila Sage, so let's talk about it. Going into this book, I honestly had really high expectations just because I've heard amazing things about this book. I had also read Done and Dusted when it first came out, and I really enjoyed that as well. So I knew that off the bat, I would probably like her writing style and things like that. Maybe I would like this book even more because obviously Done and Dusted was an older book by her, at least like by today's standard. Like, she literally has finished that entire interconnected standalone series since I read Done and Dusted. So a lot of time has passed since I've read a Lila Sage book, so I just had pretty high hopes of what Soulsearching would be for me. I also think I mentioned this earlier, but this is also the November book pick for my romance book club that I host, and one of the girls from my book club actually already read this, and she spoke very highly of it, said it was one of her like favorite fall reads of the year, like just singing its praises. So off the bat, I was feeling really confident in this book that I was going to like it, or I was going to love it. Like, maybe it'd even be a 5-star, like who knows. It's definitely not a 5-star, but I didn't hate it. I think there's just some aspects that didn't really mesh well with me. I did listen to this book on audio and read it on my Kindle. I went back and forth, and I did really like the audiobook. I think I mentioned this earlier, but it has a male and female narrator, and I really liked how if they were having conversations, all of Brady's parts were narrated by the male narrator, and then everything that Colin said was narrated by her narrator, so it felt like you were listening onto a real conversation. I think, however, thinking back on the audiobook, I think there was a disconnect with the male narrator for me. Brady, to me, isn't a grumpy character. He kind of just comes off grumpy because he's so awkward. He's just like a little nerdy, awkward guy, and he just comes off as grumpy because he's just like tall and intimidating or whatever, but inside he's just a sweetheart. And the male narrator had just like a very deep voice. I feel like for me, that's not really how I would envision him. So there was a disconnect there. That wasn't anybody's fault. It's just my own like interpretation of his character and stuff like that. I feel like the guy's voice just came off a little bit more grumpy and standoffish than what I would have imagined his voice to be like personally. With that being said, I think my main issue, the thing that like brought the rating down in my eyes, was the pacing of the romance. I feel like the characters really didn't have that much chemistry or like anything in common, if you will. Obviously there's a lot of cute moments, but I feel like the romance went like 0 to 100 in like no time. Like it was like 50% through, maybe 60% through, and they hadn't even kissed yet. Like, I love a good slow burn, but I feel like there was nothing like building upon that slow burn. It was just like them being friends, or not even being friends, just like being coworkers. Like, I don't know. That's just how I felt about the romance. I feel like it was a little bit lackluster in my opinion. However, I did really enjoy the overall like book, if you will. I liked all the adventures that they went through. I liked Colin's self-discovery journey and like falling back in love with her craft and with photography. I liked the main conflict of the like real estate developer and what that brought to the story. Like that honestly was probably the best part for me. I was really engrossed through like the last maybe like 20% through of this book. Like it was just so good. I am really excited about Clark's story. I think I'm just gonna like that more because it is a second chance romance. I really like Clark's character. I don't know. I feel like that's probably where this series is gonna shine for me. I feel like this book was a nice starting moment, but yeah. I will say I didn't love the ending, but I understand why the author decided to end it like that. It just kind of felt unfinished, but obviously the main conflict in this book, the whole like real estate issue, is kind of flowing into Clark's book, which I understand. I know why Miss Girl did it like that, okay? It's just me, myself as the reader, I'm like, I want this resolved ASAP, especially because I really liked that aspect of the book. I thought it was really interesting, and I just like really wanted to see it unfold. So overall for me, this book is a 3 stars. I obviously really enjoyed it. I do see myself continuing this series, but I think for me, like the whole romance not being paced well and the lack of chemistry that I perceived from the 2 main characters really brought the story down, because this is at the forefront a romance book. So the fact that the romance kind of felt flat for me is a little bit telling, but I feel like if you're looking for a fun like small town paranormal romance, I would recommend this. Honestly, with all the amazing reviews out there, I feel like it's more of a me issue rather than like this is a bad book. Like, do not think that this is a bad book. I feel like it just lacked some things that I personally look for in a book, but a lot of people loved this book. I feel like if the premise sounds interesting, if you're looking kind of for like a cozy, spooky read, maybe give it a shot. You honestly just buy it for the cover because the cover is so cute. But yeah, 3 stars. With that being said, our next book that we're going to be diving into is actually a novella, and it is Hot for the Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. Ali Hazelwood and a bunch of other authors, they did a bunch of like paranormal romance novellas through Kindle Unlimited, and it's all available if you have the subscription, and I think you can also get the audiobooks for free. But I've heard amazing things about Ali's novella in particular, and I feel like it'll just be like such a fun, cute read. I am back and I finished reading Hot for the Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. I literally could have not picked a better book to read after Soul Searching because this was everything I needed it to be in a novella. It's a paranormal romance between a vampire and vampire slayer. Trope-wise, it is obviously enemies to lovers because he's literally trying to kill her and she's trying to kill him. Like, it's crazy. But it also has that like rom-com factor that Ali Hazelwood does so well. I loved the whole like cat and mouse game of it all. But here's the kicker. The vampire slayer actually ends up like saving the vampire, our main female character, which is what the entire novella kind of centers around. He has amnesia, so he doesn't know who she is, who he is, why they know each other. He just knows that they're familiar with one another. So they're like basically forced in this like close proximity trope, if you will. He stays the night with her, hangs out with her, and is basically like trying to get answers of what his life was like before he lost his memory. And it's just so cute and I loved every minute of it. I ended up rating it a 4 stars. I feel like with novellas, it's really hard for me to feel like I got a complete story and to feel satisfied, but I loved Hot for the Slayer. I feel like I got everything I wanted out of it. It was super cute. If Ali Hazelwood ever wanted to make a full-fledged on like vampire romance with a slayer, I would be down for it because this was amazing. And I feel like maybe she kind of already has a vampire romance, which is Bride. Bride is a werewolf vampire like relationship and it's enemies to lovers. It's arranged marriage. It's so good. Speaking of Bride, we are going to be reading its sequel, Mate, next. I'm so excited. Bride was an unexpected 5-star read when I read it last year, and I have been like waiting for the day that Mate was released because I just loved it so much. So Mate is the sequel to Bride, but it takes place with like a new main female character and main male character. I'm pretty sure the main male character is like a werewolf and then our main female character is like a werewolf human hybrid, that kind of thing. Bride had this amazing like mystery subplot that I just like ate up, and I feel like we're gonna get more of that and more of the answers that arose in Bride in Mate. So I'm super excited to dive into it. It's definitely like a highly anticipated new release for me, so let's get into it. It is the next day and I am 50% through Mate, so let's talk about my thoughts thus far. I am really enjoying Mate, which honestly isn't a big surprise because I absolutely loved Bride. I devoured that book. I read it in like one sitting, and trust me when I say if I didn't have chores, errands, and just like prior commitments, I probably would have binge read this in one day as well. I love Ali Hazelwood. Her writing is just so addictive. She is such an auto-buy author for me. I feel like I haven't ever read anything by her that I hadn't liked. Like, obviously I have my favorites and my least favorites, but nothing like that I would DNF or that I would rate like a 1 or 2 stars. She is just my tried and true, okay? Not to mention, Bride was kind of my introduction to paranormal romances, and I really haven't looked back since. I feel like paranormal romances is a good mix between fantasy and romance. Like, it has fantasy aspects like different species, different worlds, things like that, but the the politics and the world building aren't as intricate as it would be in a fantasy. It's more romance based, which I love. This book centers around Serena and Cohen, who are fated mates, but they're not together. However, Serena is kind of in danger. She is a hybrid, so she's half human, half were, and there's a bounty on her head. So to keep her loved ones safe, Misery, Lo, Anna, all of them, she decides to go live with Cohen in his pack in the Northwest. So they're kind of in this forced proximity situation. They're living under the same roof. They're kind of like in the day-to-day lives, whereas beforehand they hadn't really seen each other a whole bunch. And I am like loving the tension that is coming from this like forced proximity. There's like an aspect of forbidden love as well. I will say I am 50% through, and with that comes with the question, when are they gonna get together? Because I'm 50% through and like literally nothing romantic has happened. I feel like we know that the two characters care about each other and have this like friendship kind of developing. It's definitely like Grumpy X Sunshine, that kind of trope, but there's been no kissing, no hand holding. Like, when are we gonna get the romance, Allie Hazelwood? Like, that is the question. All I gotta say, I take back what I was saying about there being like no romance, because literally I'm on chapter 23. Okay, and if you've read this book, you know chapter 23. Yeah, if I would have just waited, I don't know, like 5 more minutes, I wouldn't have said what I said, because this is giving. This is everything. Honestly can't remember if I mentioned that this book is forbidden love, because it is forbidden love. Like, it is there. The tension is there. And normally I do not have, let's say, the patience for this trope, but it is giving. Like, it is everything. The tension build up, the will they, won't they, like literally chef's kiss. Love slow burns, you're gonna love this book, because Allie Hazelwood does such a good job of pacing the romance, the spice, all of it. I've honestly gotten to the point of my reading journey where sometimes I skip over spice. I'm not skipping a single word of this book, okay? It just is so good. I will say, if you didn't love the spice in Bride, I don't think this is for you. I don't think Paranormal Romances is for you. I know that was like one of the biggest critiques about Bride. People didn't know about the whole like Omegaverse kind of stuff before diving into that book. So you have been warned, but just know if you've read Bride and you loved it, you need to pick up Mate, because it is 10 out of 10. finished Mate by Ali Hazelwood, so let's talk about it. I really loved this book. I not only loved our main female character, Serena, but I also loved Cohen. I feel like they are the perfect embodiment of Grumpy X Sunshine, but Cohen as a main male character, love him. Like, he is such an actions speak louder than words kind of guy, like a silent but deadly kind of guy, and I eat that up. Don't get me wrong, I love the like flirtatious, extroverted type of male character as well, but I have a soft spot for the silent but deadly types, and that is definitely Cohen to a T. I don't think I loved this book as much as Bride, just because Bride was kind of my introduction to paranormal romance. Like I mentioned, it really opened my eyes to the different subgenres of romance books, like not just contemporary and dark romances, you know? So I think that book just like holds a special place in my heart. It was also the introduction to Misery and Serena, and I really loved the like mystery aspect, the emphasis of friendship in that book. This book definitely has mystery points, but I feel like sometimes it takes a backseat because Serena's going through her own kind of like self journey. She's trying to figure out who she is, what her identity is, that kind of stuff. So I feel like that plays a bigger part than the like whole mystery, like who is trying to get her, who put the bounty on her, that type of thing. I do think, however, the romance and spice in this book is better than Bride, but that's just in my humble opinion. Definitely took a while to get there, but it was worth the journey, okay? It was worth it in the end, and I ate it up. I feel like Ali Hazelwood really stepped it up, and yeah, not complaining, no notes. I think for me, this book is a 5-star read. Like, I honestly can't imagine picking between Mate and Bride. Like, I cannot choose a favorite. I love them both equally and for different reasons. So that honestly is leading me to believe that this is a 5-star read, which is crazy. Honestly, I can't believe we found a 5-star read in this video, guys. But it was a highly anticipated read. I went into this book knowing that I was gonna love it. Like, honestly, maybe we're not surprised at all. Okay, maybe it's a match made in heaven, but I really hope that Ali Hazelwood decides to write more paranormal romances, because obviously she has a thing for the genre. It may not be for everyone, but it's definitely for me. So Ali Hazelwood, if you're watching, she's not. But if you are, perchance, please write more. Please write more paranormal romances, because I don't know, I love it. They are my bread and butter, and as a girly who loves just like a fun, chaotic read, this was everything. So thank you. With that being said, I think I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I honestly can't believe that we ended this video on such a high note of finding a new 5-star read. I also have an Instagram and a TikTok where I post daily, so if you're looking for more content from me, you can find it on there. I have a lot of fun videos planned, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.